Fistful of Lead, Tales of Horror is the book you would see. Tales of Horror is a supplement for this Universal Gaming engine. It does everything you need for a little bit of Halloween gothic horror fun. I don't own a copy of that yet. Stay tuned. The good news is you don't need it. I mean, you can make stuff up and kind of round it out yourself, and there's enough good stuff here in Fistful of Lead. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and use one special ability from Galactic Heroes, which is very appropriate for Halloween horror. Let's take a look at our protagonists. What is going on here? You're not going to believe it. Take a look at this. These are 28mm figures. Where did these come from? I got a little collection of those bad boys. And in this collection, we're looking at Agent Glowbug on the far left. Everybody has a pistol except for Agent Scholar. We'll go through the abilities for those. Basically, everybody's got a range of 6 and 12 inches. We've got for abilities Sixth Sense and a Ranger. He gets to force one. If somebody shoots at him, he can force him to reroll. He's Ranger. He can move through the terrain. We'll talk about that in a second. This is Agent Scholar. These were painted probably 25 years ago. These are some older figures in my collection, and I haven't bothered to touch them up, and I probably won't because I really think I did a good job considering that, I've gotten 25 years better at it. Agent Scholar here is smart, cool, and a medic. Sheriff Good has a pistol. He is determined and encouraging. And then here we've got Deputy Shakes. He is lucky, so he gets one reroll per turn. He is also a coward, so if he wants to melee with anyone, he has to pass a task roll of 5 up. And he is a lousy shot. I think we all know who he represents or who the inspiration for each of these characters are, so I won't belabor the point. Now, let's take a look at the terrain real quick. The story so far is simple. Our heroes are in the region because they heard rumors of strange doings afoot. They are now attempting to get back to their vehicles, which are just off the table in that direction. Kind of. This side of the table represents a stream, fast-flowing fresh water, which you and I both know in fine Ichabod fashion, monsters and ghosts and gremlins cannot cross. I guess this is taking place somewhere in New England. That would also explain why it's such a cluttered terrain table. We have 4 spawn points. 3 monsters will appear at the start of turn 2, and we're going to roll a d4, 1, 2, 3, 4, for where those 3 monsters appear. There's a 4th monster already on the table that will not activate until the start of turn number 2. And these have rocks on them. They're all considered hard terrain. The hills are considered blocking, but they don't offer any cover bonus. And the grasslands are all considered soft cover, and you cannot shoot across them. In fact, all of the terrain pieces here, you can shoot into them, but not across them. So it's very simple. Because we're using traditional 28mm figures, we will use traditional 28mm scale. They can move 5 inches on each of their movement, and they can shoot with their pistols 6 inches at short range. You need a 5 up to hit, and at long range, from 6 to 12, you need an 8 up to hit. The shotgun has some special abilities. Up to short range, you have a 1-inch, made you look, 2 for flinching. At 1 inch, at short range, it has a 1-inch blast radius, and anybody within that 1 inch, so that you hit the target at +1 wound, everybody else around it takes a wound roll at -1. At long range, anybody within 2 inches gets hit by a wound at -1. I do not believe those stack. The guy that gets hit is at -1, and then everybody that's around it is also at -1. I don't believe they're at -2, but maybe, sometimes Jay Wiley, author of this wonderful little rule set, stops by the comment section, will explain his official ruling for that. Let's go ahead and just tie that just a little bit better. Okay, so we're trying to get from here to here, and I'm going to deal out the cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, for Agent Glowbug, Scolder, the Sheriff, and Deputy Shakes. And honestly, I don't know why I did this. I'm just going to move them all 10 inches. The monster that's already on the board will activate at the start of the next turn. On this turn, we're going to start by rolling to see where these guys appear. They will appear on the card that we deal for them. You can see we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got Pumpkinhead. He can throw pumpkins like Jack-o'-lantern, like, Goblin from the Marvel superhero movies. Range of 6, 12 inches. He's a ranger who ignores terrain, and he also has armor. Now, it's not really armor. He's just made of straw, so shooting him, slapping at him doesn't do any good. He's got an 8 up save every time you hit him. This is our Soul Ghost. He causes fear, and this is an ability that comes from the Galactic Heroes rule set. The great part about Wily Games, you can just mix and match to your heart's content. And then we have, and that's his only special ability, Cause Fear, but man, what a terrifying one it is. And then this here is Junior Ghost. He is small, -1 to shoot at him. He only has 2 wounds, and he's -1 on melee. He's quick, so he has a +1 move. These guys, I think, are going to make a powerful combo. So I'm going to roll a d4 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and we'll figure out where they appear. This looks like a good place to roll. The forest, by the way, the trees, we're going to move around. This whole template is hardcover. You can only shoot 1 inch into or out of the forest there. So the first guy is going to appear at point number 1. Our soul ghost will appear at point number 1. And our junior ghost will appear at point number 2. So wow, everybody's coming in from that side of the board. I'm going to put them on just so I don't have to remember where they're coming from. All right, we've got 7 out of our 8 figures on the table. I only use 8 as a solo gamer when I got to kind of bop back and forth in this. The standard game calls for 5 figures per player, and on a regulation 4x6 table, you can easily handle 6 players. But as a solo guy, I ain't that guy. So we're going to deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to deal out a 4 of diamonds, a 2. Our ghosty over there, and that's going to be it for our movement. Remember, our heroes are trying to get off the board, and we're going to take advantage of having 3 high cards. In fact, all of our heroes go first. We're just going to hoof it. So here they are. Our table is about 30 inches across, so 3 moves ought to do it. 1 more move, let's just check. Yeah, they're going to need 1 more turn. It'll take them a minimum of 4 turns if all they do is sprint. To that end, our little small kind ghost, now he's quick, he can move 12 inches. We're going to run him over to here. He's going to go play spoiler. This is not the best arrangement for our monsters, but that's all right. Next comes our soul ghost. And our soul ghost is going to have to move really quick. I think we could probably get him to right here. And then our pumpkin-headed ghost, again, the problem is there's so much terrain on the board. Man, that's really about all they can do. He doesn't have line of sight. He's not going to, the cliff is blocking. We can't shoot across, so that's really all our monsters can do. This might be the shortest and safest Halloween episode ever. We're going to deal out our cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, to our heroes. King, Queen, 10, and a 2. Sheriff is going last. Then I'm going to deal out to the monsters, 1, 2, 3, and have you found the final monster yet, who has been on the table the entire time? Look at this guy right here. This is an old Ralpartha tree demon. I just love the expressive face on this guy. Oh, it's one of my favorite miniatures ever. And then just a little bit of the spongy material for the claws there. Oh, he looks so good. He's going to activate whenever he darn well pleases. With the aces wild, he's going to declare himself a king of spades, which means he will be the first to go. Now that tree demon is large and a brute. He uses the D12 in melee. He is +1 if you shoot at him. He is +1 when he wounds you, and he's got 4 wounds. So good luck stopping that guy. What are we going to do with him? Well, we might as well just move him up the 10 inches to right here, and he's going to block this route, and then this still is the woods here. He's going to block this path through here, which will force our heroes to slow down if they run away. The next thing we're going to do, now we have a question of, do we go ahead and run our FBI agent? We can move him to here and take a shot at the little guy, but then he's going to attack us. You know what? I'm not too afraid of him. We've got a remove all shock here. Why don't we do that? Why don't we run him to here with the King of Diamonds, and then we're going to take a shot at the little guy. And this is at 6 inches? He is at 6 inches, so we just need a 5 up to hit. And with a 4, we miss. We can run off the table next turn. But before we do that, it's going to be the Queen of Spades gets to go. And I think we want to run. We're just going to try and get her off the table. Alternatively, with 5 inches of movement, yeah, if she moves to here, she's got no shot. So that's going to be it for her. Then it comes time for Mr. Pumpkinhead with the Queen of Clubs. Pumpkinhead is going to move up to here and huck a pumpkin at the sheriff. He has to roll a 5. He's at short range, a 5 or better hits. With a 9, he is successful. So the sheriff now has to make a wound roll. And the sheriff gets a result of a 3. And a result of a 3 on the wound roll when you are shooting is going to be shaken. He takes one of these, and he will be at -1 to movement, shooting, and all that good stuff. That's it for Mr. Pumpkin Chunkin. Then we do the sheriff himself. If he does nothing, he can get rid of this. Or he can move 8 inches to try to escape. Or he can move around this way. But you know what? If he goes this way... Now, I'm ruling if you move within 1 inch, you're going to trigger an attack. In fact, this is a tree. I think he's got reach. In fact, we can give him that ability if we really want to. So what do? Do we race around this way and then wind up getting... Yeah, let's do that. He says, oh my gosh. Now, he's only going to be able to move 4 inches. So that's 3, 4, 5. He's going to be able to make it to here. And then he may wind up sacrificing himself to allow our federal agents to escape. And that seems appropriate, right? When there's real danger involved, if you're a federal agent, just run away. There's nobody here that they can frame for a crime, so get out. The little guy is going to race over and conduct a melee attack. The red die will be for our little guy, and the blue die will be for the big boy. This is just a straight roll-off, except our little guy, because he is small, was -1 to shoot at. He's only got 2 wounds. He does have an extra inch of movement, but these guys are going to be even Stevens on the melee. So let's see who rolls higher. The red die is for... So I got a 2 and a 5, and I can't remember who I said is the red versus blue. Let me check the tape. All right, got it. The glow bug is going to win by a total of 3, which will force a wound check on the other guy, and a difference of 3 is a +1 to this wound check. We roll a 2, and our little guy, our ghost, our junior ghost, is shaken. And that's it for his turn. Then we have our soul ghost now is going to use his first attack. He has line of sight on the sheriff, and he has this wonderful special ability that comes to us by way of Galactic Heroes. Man, I love this cover. Very, very pulpy, very old school 50s. Gonzo Wahoo, very positive energy to that kind of thing. Very heroic. None of this, nihilism in the world is terrible. All right, so let's talk about what Cause Fear does. As an action, the monster may use this ability on any enemy within 12 inches. We're going to call the sheriff the blue die and the monster the red die. Make a close combat roll. If the victim rolls higher, if the blue die is higher, nothing happens. The blue die is higher, so nothing happens. All right, we tried to cause fear, and that's one action, and then the other action is a 5-inch move, so we're going to move our ghosty up to there, and then our sheriff is going to move, that's our sheriff over here. Oh, I forgot, this is Deputy. Deputy Shakes has it makes sense Deputy Shakes is running away. Our sheriff now can move a total of, that's 2 inches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then he can move 2 more inches, 9, 10, and that's really, man, this scenario might not be the greatest design. Although, to be fair, a big part of that is that our monsters appeared in the backfield. If our monsters had appeared over on 1 and 2, these guys, our protagonists, would have had a much rougher go of things, don't you think? They would have been running through the gauntlet instead of away from the gauntlet. Yeah, this one might be over pretty quick. We might be able to move 3 of our heroes off the table, depending on how the cards come up. I'm going to deal them out for the heroes first. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll do the bad guys. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So our hero, we get a 4, we get a 2, an 8, and a 6 over there. And then for our monsters, we get a, high one. Remove all shot, queen, and 10. Ooh. Yeah, this is why you got to play the game out, isn't it? It looks like our monsters get to go first in every instance. Our King of Diamonds will go first. It's another roll-off. The red die is for the little guy. He is now at -2. He is at -1 to 5, a difference of 7. It looks like our Agent Glowbug is really good at kicking Child Ghosts right in the ding-dong. At a +7, we're going to be at +3 on this wound roll for the little guy. And with a result of 11, the little guy is going to be chased off the field. I guess you just kicked him right in the pumpkin. But now we have to deal with the big boy is going to be able to charge into melee, and he's going to, you know what? He does not like seeing his buddy get hammered. So he's going to run over to here. That is absolutely within 10 inches. Remove all shock markers. Doesn't do us any good this time around. But now our big boy, we got to pull out the D12. Because the big boy is on the attack. He is a beast. What do we call it? The tree is a brute. D12 melee. And when he hits, he will do +1 wound. Again, it's a straight roll because nobody has any melee weapons. And that straight roll, the brute is going to win by just 1 on the hero. But because, is it close combat? Do you get to roll? Does the brute get to roll for close combat? D12 in close combat, but I don't know if that applies on the roll. Yeah, it's a +1 on the roll. I'm going to roll just the D10 on the roll. He's at +1. With a result of an 8, Agent Glowbug is going to just take it right on the chin. He is wounded, and when you are wounded, you go down. Splat. Then our Pumpkin Chunkin gets to go. He only gets to move 5 inches. He's going to move 2 inches to here and then another 3 inches to there. That gives him line of sight to chuck another pumpkin at our Deputy Shakes. That short range. He only needs to roll a 5 or better to hit. With a 4, he misses. Not doing so hot. Then we have a 10, and let's just go ahead and write off the sheriff. Our spooky boy is going to move up to 5. And he's going to try and scare within 12 inches. He's going to try and spook this boy. And once again, it'll be the blue die for the blue ghost. If he rolls higher, bad things happen. We got a 9 versus a 6. Deputy Shakes is now scared. And when he is scared, we have a fun little chart that we roll on. Take the difference in the rolls. Oh, I got to go to the tape. Our dice rolls were 9 versus 6, but we have a -1 on Deputy Shakes because he is shaken. That means it's 9 versus 5. A differential 4 means the victim becomes fearful and immediately pulls back 1 move from the attacker and gets a shock marker. We're going to say, now it would be, we're going to force him to move back away from his line. He runs this way. And maybe something like over here. We'll just kind of make sure he's in the shot there. I have serious qualms about letting Deputy Shakes run closer to the baseline. He's got to run in this direction. So, I mean, he can still kind of sneak around the back, except now he's got 2 shaken markers, and our monsters are done. It is Deputy Shakes' turn. What are we going to do with you, guy? Do we make a recovery roll at -2? If we do that, to try and get rid of all of our shaken markers, we would need to roll an 8 or better to recover from all of those. Because you're at -2 on the chart. If we roll a 1, 2, or 3, he leaves the board entirely. Or we can just use both of our actions to get rid of one of these. And maybe that's, or we can move 6 inches, but because this is in the way, he's only going to be able to move 3 inches. Do we want to move him up to about here? And then again, next turn, 3 inches. And then I think we go ahead and, we're doing pretty good. Let's roll. I'm feeling good about this. As I said, what's going to happen here is on a 1, 2, or a 3, he's going to leave. And on an 8 or better, he will recover. A 7, -2 is a 5. He is still shaken. He doesn't remove a shock, but he may fall back 5 inches away from the enemy. And I think that means we're going to have to move. He can go off the table, but that counts as being dead. So I think to keep him in play, we'll have him fall back 5 inches to here. So he's racing for cover. We'll just kind of spin so we can kind of see where he ran off to there. So see the little ruins there, the little former house ruins? That's where he's hiding out right now. He's almost in there, and he's going to have to try to recover next turn. It's now time for Mr. Sheriff, and I think, what do we do? Let's just, Mr. Sheriff leaves. He's like, I'm out of here. He does get to reload repair, but that doesn't do him any good. And then we have our Agent Scolder. And Agent Scolder is going to move to here, and she has the medic skill. She is going to use that medic skill. Let's see, where I wrote it down here. On a 5-up, she can heal 1 wound from her buddy. So we're looking for a 5 or better. And on a 3, she fails. That's her second action. That's her turn. And now he has no choice. He has to make a recovery roll. He is wounded and down. And he gets a 9, which is, -1 is 8. Model may stand. Boop. But he doesn't lose the wound. That's the trick. He can stand up, but he is still wounded. Roll 2 dice, pick the best. So he could have rolled that one twice. But in this case, because he has stood up, he does get to make 1 more action. We're going to do a fight. He's going to go ahead and fight this guy. He is now at -1, but stranger things have happened. Our federal agent gets a result of a 4. Our tree man gets a result of a 5. A differential of 5 on the wound check is going to be a total of +2, but it's going to be an additional +1 because our tree man is a beast. So a total of +3 gives us a result of a 7, and kablam, that is the second wound, and our hero goes back down. So I give him credit, right? He's got the eye of the tiger. He keeps getting up off the mat, but then he keeps I guess he's got kind of a glass jaw. So just keep poking that jaw, Mr. Tree Man, and eventually he'll go down. We're going to have to deal out 3 cards for the heroes, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, let me cut. I think I forgot to do this last turn. Just cut the deck. We get a go late, kind of medium, and kind of medium for our heroes, and we're going to deal out 1, 2, and 3 for our monsters. Our monster is going to go first. Oh boy, are our monsters going first. That being the case, let's bring... we're going to bring our Soul Ghost, gets to go first. And if he moves to here, kablam, he now has line of sight on Shotgun Susie over here. With his 1 action, he moves, and with his second action, he goes, he makes the Scooby-Doo ghost noise, which also, oddly enough, is the noise that in the movies at least, the Seljuk Turks make when they fight the Crusaders. And the terrorists make. So our terrorist, right? He's a terrorist. He's quite terrifying. The pumpkin goes, hey, let's take a closer look at this guy. I just love his little sack. Look at all the little fun little detail in there. He's got like all 6 of the Scream movies. He's got the bad guys in there, and a fun little pumpkin. Look how happy he looks. He's so happy to be terrifying federal agents. Relatable. So he goes blah, 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 and then we do a basic combat. The blue die is for our ghost. If it's higher, bad things happen. We got a differential of 6, and on a differential of 6, I gotta check my chart one more time. If he scores a high enough differential, yes, this is it. The victim is paralyzed with fear and stands rooted to the spot. So to represent that, I've got that. You may have seen one of these before, huh? You're a wargamer. So that's going to be our she's paralyzed reminder. Rooted to the spot, helpless, must be rescued. She must make a recovery roll to shake off the helpless status. If another member of the crew moves into contact, the victim automatically recovers. While helpless, well, we'll get to that. So she is now paralyzed with fear. This is what you get for being a skeptic. The world is a supernatural place, honey. And that's going to be just the first action. Now our tree man is going to bash the fash. We are going to roll, it's D12 versus our red rhymes with fed. And now this die, the red die is at -3, -2 for the wounds, -1 because he's laying down. And, oh my goodness, look at that. We get a total of 6 versus 4. And even though he's on the ground, he won by 3. Our tree man, am I missing anything? Our tree man is large. He's 4 hands, nope, that's it. -3, so that's a differential of 2. And with the 2, our tree man now has to suffer a wound at +1. We'll roll for the +1. And with a 6 and a 7, he takes a wound. Chop, chop. Timber. Our tree man goes down. Look at that. Wow. A lot of back and forth in this game. A lot more than I anticipated. And now our guy has to try to make a recovery roll at -2. He gets a total of 4. And when you are wounded and you have a 4, you are still wounded. But he may crawl 2 inches. Remember that he is a ranger, so we're going to let him crawl 2 inches over to here into soft cover, and we're just going to leave him right there. The next thing we're going to do is make a recovery roll for Deputy over here. Deputy rolls a 4, -2 for the shaken, and with a result of a 2, he is still shaken, and he's going to race back another 2.5 inches, which will put him on the other side. It's 5 inches, but he's going through the rough going here, so we're only going to move him 2.5 inches. He gets a reroll. I forgot about that. Oh, that's worse. He took the reroll and he actually ran away. He is so scared that he ran off the board. The 2 -2 is a 0, and that means you completely route from the board. We now have to make a recovery check for our terrified federal agent. Agent Scolder isn't scolding anybody, and let's see how that works. She has to make a recovery roll to shake off. She used no dice in close combat, and any enemy shooting at her receives a +2 to her roll. Well, wait a second. Make a recovery roll, and she rolled a 3. So I guess we treat that as recovery against shaken. She is still petrified. And that's going to be her action. It takes both of her actions. Because she's petrified, she does not get the 5 inches of movement. And now this old boy is going to be able to close 5 inches. Our pumpkin chunkin' boy. He can either, let's just go ahead and put this guy out of his misery. It's going to be a straight combat, except that the red for fed die is at -3. Let's see if pumpkin guy can finish him off. So red for fed gets a 5. That's a differential of 2. The differential of 2 is going to be no bonus on the wound roll. And just like that, except I think, you know what? On the wound roll, that's an 8. +1 for each wound. That's 10. That does put him out of action. And look, I haven't even based this pumpkin-headed fella yet. There you go. That's going to be the end of Agent, what did I call him? Agent Glowbug, and that's going to be the end of the turn, and things have really taken a turn for the worse. The only guy that's been able to get off board is our sheriff. We got to give this one to the monsters so far. I guess the only thing that we're looking at here is if the last thing we can do, if she can recover and get off the board, then we'll call it a draw, because 2 heroes made it off the board and 2 did not. I'll roll for her first, and then we'll just deal right up the gullet. We're going to make a recovery roll for our big boy. He rolls an 8 on the recovery. Oh, that's actually a 7. Model may stand. He is still wounded. Wait a minute. What am I talking about? I got the Queen of Hearts here. He doesn't have to make a roll. He heals 1 wound. He stands up. He gets to run on over here, and she is helpless. Which means, while helpless, she receives no dice in close combat. Which means our big boy is going to take a swing at her, and he gets a result of 5 for a differential of 5, which means on our wound roll, he's going to be at +2. And on the wound roll, he gets a 6. That turns into an 8. She is now wounded. So we're going to knock her down. And we're going to put a little wounded marker on her. And that's going to be significant because Spooky Boy is also going to be able to run over. And now he is within 10 inches. So it's really, I think this is pretty much over, isn't it? Red for fed, blue for the ghost. He is going to melee. She gets no dice. Oh, right, blue for the ghost. She gets no dice again. So she takes a 3 and a 7. And that 7 is going to be at a total of +4 on the wound check. 5 + 4 is 9. She is now out of action, and that is going to be the end of the game for 3 fallen heroes. An appropriately horrifying end for this Halloween edition of The Joy of Wargaming. Thanks for spending a little bit of time on this holiday when we make fun of Satan for being a big giant nerd, and we dress up as clownish versions of all of his minions to remind ourselves that there is a greater power than him,
And we also get together and share love for our fellow man. We take care of each other's kids, buy way too much candy, and celebrate the fall harvest by getting together with complete strangers and having a bit of an American-style potluck, if you will. We go out and have a little fun parade, show off our creativity. It's just, man, it's one of the best holidays. It's so great. I feel bad for those of you that don't celebrate, or you're in parts of the world that don't celebrate, because it's just so much fun. Hey, again, thanks for coming along. As we head into the Christmas season, remember, guys, I'm praying for you.